chosen one. The most important financial work of your life is not happening in the marketplace. It is happening in the room. I need you to receive the full weight of that sentence before this video continues. Because the culture you are embedded in has trained you to believe that financial progress is produced by visibility, by presence in the right rooms, in front of the right audiences, in the right conversations with the right connections. And all of those things have their place and their season. But they are downstream of something that happens before any of them. Something that happens in private, in silence, in the specific quality of solitude that most chosen ones either rush through or avoid entirely because it does not look like progress from the outside. The blueprint that will produce the financial life your assignment requires is not assembled in the marketplace. It is received in the chamber. And the chosen one, who does not know how to inhabit the chamber, who cannot stay in the room long enough to receive what the room was designed to deliver, will spend their entire life executing borrowed strategies at borrowed altitudes, when the strategy designed specifically for their assignment was waiting for them in the room they kept leaving too soon. 3 days ago, something changed in how you experienced the noise. Not dramatically, not with a clear spiritual message attached to it, just a quiet, persistent, increasingly uncomfortable sense that the ambient sound of your ordinary life, the notifications, the conversations, the background hum of other people's agendas, filling the air of your days, had become a kind of friction, a resistance you could feel physically. And beneath that resistance, almost too quiet to hear at first, a specific pull toward the opposite of all of it, toward a room, toward stillness, toward the specific quality of private space in which the voice of God and the voice of your own deepest intelligence can finally be distinguished from each other and from the noise that has been competing with both of them. That pull was not introversion, it was not burnout, it was not avoidance of the work that your assignment requires. It was the invitation to the chamber. And today, you receive the complete theological and strategic framework for what the chamber is, what it does, and why everything that your financial life is being built toward has to begin in the specific environment that God designed for its conception. Welcome to Chosen Wealth Wisdom. The chosen one does not wait for the breakthrough to happen in the marketplace. The chosen one receives the blueprint in the chamber and then carries it into the marketplace fully formed. Before we go any further, here is what I need from you right now. If you have felt in the last 3 days a specific, unexplainable hunger for solitude, not the solitude of exhaustion, not the withdrawal of defeat, but a purposeful, almost urgent pulling toward a private space where something important could finally be heard, type the words, "I enter the chamber," in the comments right now. Drop it right now, because that hunger was not random and it was not weakness. It was heaven's specific, targeted invitation to the place where the blueprint for your next financial season is waiting to be delivered. You cannot receive it in the crowd. You can only receive it in the chamber. And subscribe to Chosen Wealth Wisdom before this video ends, because this channel exists to give the chosen steward the complete navigational framework for every room in the architecture of their assignment, and the chamber is the most important room of all. Stay with me. Now let me give you the Hebrew word that will permanently change how you understand the private room in your financial life. The word is cheder, spelled C-H-E-D-E-R, and it carries within it a revelation about the relationship between privacy and power that the wisdom tradition has understood for millennia, but that the performance economy of the present age has almost completely buried. Cheder in Hebrew does not simply mean room. The word carries the specific meaning of the innermost room, the deepest, most private, most protected chamber in a structure. In the architecture of the ancient Near East, a building was understood as a series of nested spaces moving from the public to the private, from the outer courts where anyone could enter, to the inner rooms where only the permitted could go, to the cheder, the innermost chamber, accessible to the fewest, containing the most significant. In Proverbs chapter 24, verse 4, the wisdom teacher says, "By knowledge, the rooms Kedarim, the plural of Kedar, are filled with all precious and pleasant riches." The word for the rooms that are filled with wealth is Chedar. The innermost chamber is where the riches are, not the outer court, not the marketplace, the room. And in 1 Kings chapter 22, the prophet Micaiah uses Chedar to describe the place of God's most intimate deliberation, the inner chamber of heaven's council, where the strategies that govern history are determined before they become visible in the Stam world. The Kedar is the place where the decree precedes the event, where the blueprint precedes the building, where the strategy is fully formed in the invisible realm before a single stone of its execution is laid in the visible one. The Kedar is not the place where you go after the work is done to rest. It is the place where you go before the work begins, to receive the instructions that make the work worth doing. Now, hear the financial theology of this word with precision. Every significant financial structure in the life of a chosen steward begins in a Chedar moment, a specific, private, deeply interior encounter in which a piece of divine intelligence about the steward's financial assignment is delivered into a mind that was quiet enough to receive it. The business model that changes a market, the investment strategy that builds generational wealth, the financial decision that seems counterintuitive from the outside, but that carries an internal certainty that no external analysis can produce. These things do not originate in research reports or networking events or the collective wisdom of the market. They originate in the Kedar, in the room where God and the chosen steward have a conversation that no outside observer is present for, and in which the strategy for the next season is delivered with the completeness and the authority that only the inner chamber of heaven can provide. The ancient kings understood this. Before they moved their armies, before they made their decrees, before they executed the strategies that their kingdom's histories would be measured by, they went into the Kedar, not to hide from the decision, to receive the intelligence that the decision required from the one who could see the entire battlefield from a vantage point that no human general had access to. The Chedar was not the escape from the work. It was the preparation that made the work worth executing. And the king who skipped the Kedar and moved directly from intention to execution, who trusted the noise of the outer court over the silence of the inner chamber, was the king whose strategies fell short of what they were meant to produce. Because the outer court has opinions, the Chedar has intelligence, and there is no substitute for the intelligence that only the innermost room can deliver. Your private room is a Kedar, not metaphorically, functionally. It is the specific physical space in which the conditions for the most important financial intelligence of your life are reproducible, in which the noise of the outer court can be sufficiently reduced, the demands of other people's agendas can be temporarily suspended, and the inner voice that carries the specific, targeted, assignment-level instructions for your financial season can be heard with the clarity and the completeness that it requires to be received correctly. And the quality of what your financial life produces in the next season will be in direct proportion to the quality of attention you bring to the Chedar in this one. Now let me show you what heaven observed in you that authorized the delivery of this specific teaching at this specific moment. The first thing heaven observed was the integrity of your solitude. There is a version of solitude that is simply the absence of other people, a physical aloneness that is immediately filled with the digital presence of everyone you just physically left. The notifications, the feeds, the ambient broadcast of other people's lives and opinions flowing through the same screen that is present in every room of the modern life. This is not the Kedar. This is the outer court with fewer bodies in it. And the chosen one who retreats to their private room and immediately fills it with the noise of the connected world has moved their location without moving their frequency. The Chedar requires not just physical solitude, but the specific quality of interior quiet that can only be produced when the inflow of external information has been genuinely and deliberately reduced. And heaven observed that you chose the genuine thing. Not always, not perfectly, but with enough consistency and enough intentionality to demonstrate that you understand the difference between being alone and being in the cheetah. That the private room in your life has been, in the seasons when it mattered most, a space of actual quiet, of prayer and planning, and the specific attentiveness of a steward who is expecting to receive something rather than simply avoiding something. That quality of expectant solitude is the single most important condition for the delivery of the cheetah's intelligence. And you have been cultivating it with the faithfulness of someone who does not yet fully understand what they are preparing, but who knows, in their deepest spiritual instinct, that the preparation matters. The second thing heaven observed was the tithing of your first thoughts. Before the plan was shared with a partner, before the idea was tested on a trusted friend, before the strategy was mapped on paper for anyone else to evaluate, there was a moment in the Keda in which it was first offered to God, not as a performance of piety, as a genuine act of acknowledgement that the thought did not originate in you. That the intelligence that arrived in the stillness of the private room came from a source beyond the boundary of your own cognitive capacity, and that the first and most important response to it was not to use it, but to return it to its source in the form of gratitude, of consecration, of the simple and profound act of saying, "This came from you. I offer it back before I spend it. I honor the origin before I activate the gift." This practice, the tithing of the first thought, the consecration of the initial intelligence before its deployment, is one of the rarest and most financially significant spiritual disciplines available to the chosen steward. Because the Keda delivers intelligence with a purity and a potency that is proportional to the reverence of the steward who receives it. The steward who receives the Chedda's intelligence and immediately deploys it without consecration is the steward who gradually finds that the quality of what the Chedda delivers begins to thin, that the intelligence becomes more ordinary, more accessible, more available to any mind, rather than specifically and particularly calibrated to the assignment of the one who carries it. The tithing of the first thought maintains the purity of the Keda's channel, and you have been maintaining it. Stop. Let that land before we continue. Every idea you offered back to God before you acted on it, every early morning thought you consecrated before you strategized, every insight you held in prayer before you deployed it in planning, each of those moments kept the channel of the cheetah clean and calibrated. They are the specific reason that the intelligence available to you in the room is of the quality that it is. And they are the specific reason that what the Keda is preparing to deliver in the next season is of a magnitude that required this level of preparation to receive. Now, let me give you 5 specific signs that the cheetah is actively working, that the wealth of your next season is presently being gestated in the specific environment of the inner chamber. The first sign is structural clarity. Something has shifted in how you see the financial plan that has been forming in your life over the last several months. Where it previously felt like a collection of desires and impressions and general directional instincts, it is now beginning to resolve into something that has the specific quality of architecture. You can see the load-bearing walls. You can see which elements support the structure and which are decorative. You can see the sequence in which the components need to be built and why the sequence matters. Why laying this foundation before that wall? Why securing this resource before pursuing that opportunity? Why this conversation needs to happen before that one? The plan is developing a skeleton, and the skeleton is not something you designed through analysis. It arrived in the Cheda, in the quiet, in the specific stillness of the inner chamber, where the architectural intelligence of heaven can populate the prepared mind with the structural blueprint that no amount of external consultation could have produced. When structural clarity arrives in this form, not forced through effortful planning but received through attentive stillness, you are standing in the most productive financial environment available to a human being. The Cheda is working. The second sign is what I call the scent of new assets. This is the most unusual of the 5 signs, and the one that requires the most careful and honest attention to notice. It is not a literal sensory experience, though, for some chosen ones, it arrives in a form that is surprisingly physical. It is a quality of expanded spatial imagination, a specific, unprecedented ability to see yourself inhabiting financial environments that are categorically larger than your current ones, not as fantasy, as something that feels more like memory than imagination. The office, the workspace, the property, the infrastructure of a financial life at the altitude that the assignment requires, these things are becoming visible to your interior perception with a clarity and a specificity that is different from mere wishing. You can feel the weight of the key. You can see the quality of the light in the room. You can sense the atmosphere of a professional environment that does not yet exist in your physical reality, but that exists with complete clarity in the Cheda's intelligence. This is not delusion. This is the preview that the Cheda delivers to the steward, whose preparation has reached the level required to see the asset before it arrives, to carry it internally with enough precision that its external arrival is not a surprise, but a confirmation. The 3rd sign is the sudden loss of tolerance for small talk, not irritability toward people, a specific, increasing inability to sustain genuine engagement with conversations that are operating at a frequency significantly below the one that the Cheda has been building in you. The conversations about limitation, about complaint, about the shared catalogue of what is not working and what cannot be changed, these no longer produce even the residual social comfort they once did. They produce a specific quality of interior restlessness, a sense of misalignment between where you are in the conversation and where your spirit is operating. This is not arrogance. The Cheda has been calibrating your frequency to match the altitude of the assignment that the blueprint describes. And when the frequency is calibrated to that altitude, conversations that are operating several floors below it require a kind of deliberate downshift that your spirit is increasingly unwilling to sustain. This is not the signal to become unkind or dismissive. It is the signal to steward your Cheda time with increasing intentionality to protect the frequency that the inner chamber is building by limiting the sustained exposure to environments that are systematically pulling it downward. The 4th sign is the appearance of the numbers 222 and 555. In covenant theology, 2 is the number of witness and confirmation. The legal standard of the ancient world required 2 witnesses to establish a matter as true, 2 pillars to hold the structure of the covenant architecture. When you see 222, receive it as heaven's legal confirmation that what you have been receiving in the Cheda has been witnessed and validated in the spiritual realm, that the blueprint is not the product of your imagination, but the confirmed intelligence of the assignment. 5 in Scripture is the number of grace and transformation. The 5 books of the Torah that transformed a nation of slaves into a kingdom of priests. The 5-fold ministry that transforms the church. The 5 smooth stones that David carried to the confrontation that changed the trajectory of his entire financial and kingly inheritance. When you see 555, receive it as heaven's confirmation that the transformation the Cheda is producing in your financial architecture is a grace work, not earned through the perfection of your process, but authorized through the covenant that preceded your preparation. Both sequences together declare, the blueprint is confirmed, the transformation is authorized, the Cheda is producing exactly what it was designed to produce. The 5th sign is the surge of energy in the quiet hours. You have noticed this pattern with a clarity that surprised you the first time you mapped it. The hours that the culture designates as rest hours, the late night, the early morning, the in-between times when the demands of the outer court have temporarily receded. These are the hours when your creative and strategic energy is at its most acute, when the ideas arrive with the most precision, when the planning sessions produce the most structural clarity, when the sense of divine intelligence flowing through your thinking is most palpable and most actionable. This is not insomnia or disordered sleep. This is the cheetah operating on its own schedule rather than the schedule of the outer court. The inner chamber does its most significant work when the noise of the world is lowest, and your spirit, which has been trained by the consistent practice of the Keda to recognize the signal beneath the noise, is responding to the quiet of those hours with the alert, energized, receptive attention of a chosen steward who understands that the delivery is happening and that missing it by sleeping through it is a cost that the assignment cannot afford in this season. When the energy surges in the quiet hours, do not fight it back towards sleep. Enter the cheetah. The blueprint is being assembled. Now let me speak directly about the warfare operating specifically against the cheetah season, because the enemy has a strategy for the chosen one, who is in the inner chamber, and it is designed with a precision that targets the specific vulnerability of a person who is carrying something significant in private. He cannot enter the cheetah. The innermost room is inaccessible to the frequency of the enemy's strategy when the steward is genuinely present within it. What he can do is position people and urgencies at the entrance. The specific, perfectly timed arrival of a demand that is just significant enough to feel genuinely urgent, a message that requires immediate response, a situation that seems to justify interruption, a person whose need presents itself at the precise moment when the cheetah is delivering the most significant intelligence of the season. The intrusion is rarely obviously trivial. It arrives wearing the costume of legitimate importance, and the chosen one, who has not yet developed the discernment to distinguish between the urgent and the essential, will consistently sacrifice the essential on the altar of the urgent, will consistently exit the cheetah at the moment of maximum delivery to address the entrance of minimum strategic value. The weapon against this strategy is what I call sacred seclusion, not the seclusion of inaccessibility. The chosen one, who is never available to anyone, is not in the cheetah. They are simply absent. Sacred seclusion is the disciplined, covenant-authorized practice of designating specific periods of genuine interior withdrawal in which the cheetah receives the protection it needs to do its most significant work. A protected hour, a guarded morning, a specific window in which the chosen steward is genuinely, deliberately, covenantally unavailable to the demands of the outer court, not because the outer court does not matter, but because the inner chamber matters more in the moment of its delivery, and the intelligence the cheetah delivers in that protected hour is worth more to the financial assignment than anything the interrupted outer court could have produced with the same time. The test of sacred seclusion is not whether you can maintain it when the entrance is empty. It is whether you can maintain it when the entrance is busy, when the message arrives that seems urgent, when the person appears whose need seems legitimate. In those moments, the chosen steward with sacred seclusion has a single discernment question available. Is this something that genuinely cannot wait until the cheetah has completed its delivery? In most cases, far more often than the urgency of the presentation suggests, the answer is no. The message can wait. The situation can hold. The outer court will still be there when the inner chamber has finished what it was doing. And what the inner chamber finishes in the protected hour is worth every moment of delayed response to every urgency that was waiting at the entrance. Say this out loud right now. My room is consecrated. The entrance to my cheetah is guarded by the authority of the assignment that is being built inside it. I do not respond to the urgency of the outer court at the expense of the delivery of the inner chamber. The blueprint I am receiving in the room is worth more than the interruption waiting at the door. I designate the cheetah season as sacred. I protect its hours. I honor its silence. And I declare that what is being assembled in the inner chamber of my life, right now, in the stillness, in the solitude, in the specific quality of private encounter with the intelligence of heaven, will not be interrupted before it is complete. The seclusion is sacred. The room is mine. And what the room produces will outlast every urgency that tried to pull me out of it. Say it again. Let the declaration establish the sacred seclusion and guard the entrance of the Kedar against every intrusion that was scheduled to arrive in its most productive hours. Now, receive the final activation. Stand in the center of whatever room you are in, not ceremonially, practically. Plant your feet in the physical space that you are choosing, in this moment, to consecrate as a Cheda, to designate as a place where the outer court's frequency ends through the inner chambers begins, and turn not to the four compass directions as a ritual, but as the physical act of claiming every corner of the space, every dimension of the environment, for the specific purpose of the Cheda's work. And say these words: I consecrate this space, not as a decoration, but as a designation, a specific, covenant-authorized declaration that this room is a Cheda, that the blueprint of my financial assignment is received here, that the intelligence of heaven is delivered here, that the strategies that will produce the financial life my assignment requires are assembled here in the stillness and the silence of the inner chamber. I designate these walls as the boundary between the noise of the outer court and the signal of the inner chamber. I designate these quiet hours as the hours in which the Kedar does its most significant work, uninterrupted. I am present. I am attentive. I am expectant. The room is ready. The steward is positioned. The blueprint is in transit, and I will not leave before it is fully delivered. Amen. Receive this decree over your Kedar season. I declare that the inner chamber of your financial life is fully activated as of this declaration. The conditions of the Cheda are established. The noise of the outer court has been designated to its proper place. The signal of the inner chamber has been designated to its, and the blueprint that has been prepared in the spiritual realm for the specific financial assignment of this specific chosen one is now in active delivery to the prepared mind and the consecrated space that have been built to receive to it. I declare that the 5 signs of the active Cheda are confirmed and fully operational in your life right now. The structural clarity is arriving, the architectural intelligence of the financial plan, resolving from impression into blueprint, from desire into design, from the general direction of faith into the specific geometry of execution. The scent of new assets is present in the inner chamber, the preview of the financial environments that the assignment requires, visible to the interior perception of a steward whose preparation has reached the level required to hold the image of the inheritance before it arrives. The recalibrated frequency is protecting the Cheda's signal, the loss of tolerance for small talk, not as unkindness, but as the natural result of an interior frequency that has been raised to match the altitude of the assignment. The covenant numbers are confirming 222 as heaven's legal witness to the blueprint's validity, 555 as heaven's grace authorization of the transformation the Kedar is producing, and the surge of creative energy in the quiet hours is sustaining the inner chamber, delivering its most significant intelligence in the hours when the outer court is silent and the signal can finally be heard at full strength. I declare that the sacred seclusion is fully established and fully guarded over every designated Cheda hour in your life from this moment forward. Every intrusion that was scheduled to interrupt the delivery has been identified and assigned to its proper place outside the entrance. The urgencies that were designed to pull you out of the room before the blueprint was complete have been met with the single discernment question that exposes their actual priority, and the protected hours of the Cheda are being held with the same intentionality and the same authority with which the ancient kings held the inner chamber before they moved their armies. I declare that what is being assembled in the Cheda of your financial life right now is not a lesser version of the blueprint. It is the complete design, fully dimensioned, fully sequenced, fully authorized by the covenant intelligence of the one who designed the assignment before he designed the steward. Every quiet hour invested, every morning consecrated, every first thought tithed, every intrusion refused at the entrance. All of it converted, at the full exchange rate of the cheetah's economy, into the architectural clarity of a financial blueprint so specific, so complete, and so perfectly calibrated to the assignment that when you finally carry it out of the inner chamber and into the marketplace will have no framework for understanding where it came from, because it came from the room, from the place they were not permitted to enter. And what the room produces is always worth the seclusion that protected its production. Like this video right now, as your seal, your declaration that the cheetah is consecrated, the seclusion is sacred, and the blueprint of your financial season is being received in the protected silence of the inner chamber. Subscribe to Chosen Wealth Wisdom so that every room in the architecture of your assignment is illuminated with the intelligence it requires. Because the cheetah is the first room. And this channel is the ongoing briefing for the chosen steward who understands that the most important rooms in the financial life are the ones nobody else can enter. Drop a comment right now and tell me, which of the 5 signs of the active cheetah have you been experiencing most clearly? I am reading every one. I am praying over every name. The room is consecrated. The blueprint is in transit. The cheetah is doing its work. Well done, chosen one. Well done.